Howdy there. It seems to be a topic that I'm focusing quite a lot on, but, one of the hardest things for a lot of our clients is, standing out from the crowd, being noticed in a really crowded market. Why should I listen to you? What could you possibly tell me that is going to, what can you say that's going to make me want to listen to you? And you know what, there's so many ways that you can communicate to your tribe now. You can be on Facebook, you can do blogs, you can do a YouTube channel, obviously video outside of the YouTube channel. There's so many ways that, so many people are now communicating with their tribe. That's great, but it's really hard to try and position yourself and elevate yourself above that noise. So I thought I'd give you a few ways, so 3 ways tonight that you could possibly look at to position yourself and elevate yourself so that people, when they ask why they should listen to you, there's some ways that you can show them, well, hey, this is why I'm the expert. This is why you should listen to me. Now, the first one is you could write a book. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't seem to be able to find time to write a text some days. So the thought of writing a book is a little bit overwhelming and it's daunting. Don't get me wrong, it still holds credibility. Probably not as much credibility as it used to, though, with so many people self-publishing and so many authors out there with those standard books that you see that are printed, that everyone seems to be dropping into in events and things like that. But still, if you are trying to elevate yourself from the competition, it's still commitment to write a book. So you might find that actually it does elevate you from the competition. The second way I've jotted down here is to build an authority website. So this isn't just a blog. This is actually a website that does have your own, musings on it and talk about, things about the topic. But it also is to pull in commentary from experts in your particular industry and make comment on their comments. Now that's called content curation. And the reason you do that is because 1, it shows that you've got an opinion, and 2, it positions you beside those people. So if you're, making a comment on something that Oprah said, or you're making, in a recent article Oprah wrote, or things like that, whoever it is in your particular industry, then that certainly does help you to elevate yourself. So it's an authority site. So you're positioning yourself, like it says, as an authority. Now, no surprises that the last method that I recommend to position yourself as an expert in your industry is using a magazine. And, for a lot of people, they sort of go, oh my God, Robin, that's such a daunting task. Well, I'm, pleased to tell you that it's actually not as hard as you think these days. Now, I said in a recent live that when I'm talking about a magazine, I'm not necessarily talking about a 200-page Woman's Weekly. When digital magazines in particular, we do still do printed magazines for our clients, but with digital magazines in particular, people are wanting it short and sharp. They're often viewing it on their phones. They want, nice size text, and they want to be able to flick through the articles and read them pretty quickly. So when I say magazines, it's not as daunting as you think. And now with all the technology out there, it's a lot easier than you think. But the funny thing is that most people out there actually don't know how to create a magazine. They wouldn't have the first idea where to start. So that's a lucky thing, because if you are to create your own magazine and position yourself as the editor-in-chief of that magazine, you are going to be in a unique group of people. There's not many editors-in-chief that you could rattle off, that you would know, and certainly I'd be surprised in your niche if there's an editor-in-chief. We leverage that title of editor-in-chief everywhere we can, through press releases, LinkedIn, on Facebook posts, so that you are positioned as the person to listen to in your niche, supported by a whole bunch of interesting and engaging content from celebrities, influencers, thought leaders in your particular niche. So, the great thing is that the opinion of an editor-in-chief, as I've just jotted down literally in my notes here, the opinion of an editor-in-chief is similar to that of an author. So you do get that sort of prestige and credibility, but you don't have to spend 12 months writing a book. The other thing great about a magazine is that you can be dynamic, and the content can be evolving as you evolve, as your market evolves, as market forces evolve, as things fluctuate. With a book, you write it in January and by December it could be out of date. Whereas with a a magazine, it can be, you can make it almost not quite evergreen, but almost evergreen. There's not really a use by date, as I've written again on my notes. There's not really a use by date with a magazine, because you can evolve as your market evolves, as social media changes are changing. If you were to do a social media magazine, then you could evolve your magazine with the latest changes. Whereas often, as I said, you write a book and it's out of date within 6 months, especially in technology and things like that. So the other great thing is that a magazine still has a value. So people still perceive a magazine to be a valuable piece of content. And I think that's because there's just not that many people doing it. There's so many blogs, so many podcasts, it's harder to ask for money. But with a magazine, if you did want to actually sell the magazine, great. But I'm more thinking about the value from the point of view of the fact that people value what's in the magazine and they're not going to discard it. They're actually going to take some time to look at it because there's some perceived value, especially if you're offering it for free, but as for a limited time only, then people read the magazine. So no surprises that my bias is for magazines, but if you are trying to make yourself, considered a thought leader and, have the answer to the question, why should I listen to you? As I said, you could consider writing a book. You could consider doing an authority website, as I mentioned earlier. And of course, my favourite, you could look at doing your own magazine. I hope that helps, and I hope you think about ways that you can separate yourself from the competition and position yourself as the expert in your niche.